Nunes was just a handful. She was such a handful, and it had to be very frustrating for Pennington, who was out there doing what she trained to do. It just wasn't working because she was a step behind. You know, a fight is a dance. It is nothing more than that. And only one person can lead at a time. So who's going to lead? On the dance floor, you concede to who the leader is going to be. In a fight, you have to take that. And you can take it by gaining ground. You can take it by cutting off the cage. You can take it by speed. You can take it by accuracy, by feints, by feinting, getting the opponent to react. As long as they're on the defense, they can't be on the offense. All of that stuff, but it's real, and you see it out there. And Amanda came across the ring, and when she wasn't striking, she was feinting. When she wasn't feinting, she was striking. When she wasn't punching, she was kicking. When she wasn't kicking, she was punching. She was cutting off the ring. She was so relentless that Raquel just couldn't get going. And she had a couple of moments. She got a takedown. It looked like some opportunity, but it looked like she was fatigued. She didn't do a lot with the takedown. But I'm trying to compliment her. I thought she went out. I thought it was very clear she prepared hard. She had the right nerve. She walked into enemy territory. I thought she did a lot that she could be proud of. She just wasn't as good of a fighter as Amanda. In between the fourth and fifth rounds, she goes to her corner, and the whole thing was caught on camera, including the audio, and she says, "I am done," meaning stop this fight. Her exact words, "I am done." The corner did not stop the fight. They said, go back out there and just give it everything you got. And that was met with a ton of resistance that the corner had failed her. And I wanted to be very disciplined to reserve judgment on this because generally speaking, yes, when an athlete says they're done, that is what the corner is to do, is to get them out of there. However, you have to balance that with the corner knows the athlete. Is there a backstory here? Have they done this many times? Have they had these conversations in the gym? We don't know. I don't know that they did. I don't know that they didn't, but we have to reserve judgment. I also would like to mention for her corner, he did not, and for anyone that's listening to this right now, I need to now backtrack and make sure they understand. The corner did not come in with the typical cage fighter bravado you may think of, go out there and die if that's what it takes. This is your dream, and we don't give up. Nah, it was none of that. He was actually a real gentleman. He was really calm. He's about as calm as I'm speaking to you right now. And he kind of even pled with her. I think he even used the word please. I think he said, "Please, Raquel, just try one more and give it everything you got. Just go give it everything you got, and then we can get out of here. But let's just give it one last effort." And but his demeanor is important in this when you're judging him. He wasn't this, fight to the death. No, none of those things. He was really nice. He was even polite, and he had a conversation that he wasn't expecting to have in a time constraint that we all know is 1 minute. And ultimately, so what are you left with when you want to pass judgment? I was surprised how many people did want to pass judgment, but when you're left with that, if you're a fair person, you have to go, okay, this is on Raquel. And if Raquel says that was a crap move, then it was a crap move. And if she says it was the right move, then it was the right move. She's got the relationship. She's the principal in this. Let's hear from her. And she said that was the right move. I'm so grateful that he had me go out there and do it. So that's that. I don't think there is a back and forth and a commentary on it at this point. She spoke. She knew him. He knew her. She's calm. She's recovered. And she was appreciative that he talked her off the ledge. So that's that. I would hate to be in his spot. I'm not a cornerman. I've never been in that spot. I think he was probably caught off guard. I think to judge him in that moment is a little bit tough, but I will offer to you, if anybody didn't see it and they're just making a judgment off of what we're saying here, he was a real gentleman about it. Very nice. And you could tell he cared. He spoke very calmly, even offered a piece of advice of, hey, if we are in fact done, let's just go out on one last flurry. Throw something and hope it lands, and then I get you the hell out of here. So, I reserve judgment. I thought that was a private conversation between them. It happened to get picked up for camera. I hope he's not embarrassed today. And his athlete said, you made the right call. So they made the right call. And as far as, a coach telling someone to go back out there and don't ever let up, it is a little different in combat. I mean, it really is. And she had a broken nose. She had a massive amount of fatigue. And she did not stand a chance to win that fight. That was, according to her, in her words, get me out of here, I'm done. So, I kind of like the baseball rule at anything in life. 3 strikes, you're out. In this case, we had 4. I am of the mind, and I am alone of the mind on this, and nobody ever agrees with me on this, but I am of the mind that a corner's job is to get their athlete out of there when their athlete can no longer win. I do not think that they need to stay out there to the bitter end and fill up TV moments and take time off their career or their life or anything in between. I just think once you can no longer win, we're done. You've proved your point. And just because the rules say 25 minutes, which is ridiculous, by the way, that's a whole nother conversation, but how this sport ever allowed that to happen, to leave two human beings in a cage for 25 minutes is outrageous. But here we are. And I'll tell you this moving on. I feel like we put the coach thing to rest. And I think that his name was cleared on this. But moving on, boy, I hope we get Amanda and Cyborg. I mean, I was so impressed with Amanda. I've always been impressed with her. She's a lot to deal with. She looked better. If you watch this fight, it's the best she's ever looked. Her movements were better. Her feints were better. Her ability to cut off the cage, and even her endurance, and her own teammates have given her criticisms that even in the gym, she's a front runner. She comes out like a hurricane and then dies off, and usually there's just nobody left standing. Well, that is not what happened in this fight. And whether she was tired or not, she didn't show it. She pushed. She stayed in the moment. She controlled the positions. She knew when to sprint. She knew when to coast. I just thought she, by her own high bar, set a new standard for herself. I really thought she did. And I should mention this to you, too. How classy was she in the interview afterwards? You know, she's had her own frustrations with some of the things that go on with her division and the marketing and the promotion of it in the UFC. And she didn't use those opportunities, or I'm now the champ, or I'm now on top of the world. She didn't do anything. She thanked everybody. She told the truth, which is, you guys have changed my life. You've given me opportunities, and thank you. And it was really cool. It was a really cool moment, and I think she represented herself well, and I think she won over a lot of fans.